This is BBC London with me, Assad Ahmed. It's been confirmed Grenfell Tower will come down. It's expected to take 2 years and will be done sensitively, respecting the fact that 72 people lost their lives when the tower caught fire.
We feel that we need more say in what happens because we, as a community, have to live here, not Angela Rayner.
Once again, we've been with the people of Grenfell at this difficult and emotional time. Also on the programme.
He came back and did it again.
The moving story of a father who had his life saved twice by his son. It'll bring a tear to your eye.
And I'm with the Leyton Orient fans getting ready for a huge FA Cup tie against Manchester City. Come on!
And find out why this man has been given special permission to whistle inside a place where only 3 people have been allowed to whistle before. Good evening. No surprises from the government today. They confirmed what we all knew yesterday, that the Grenfell Tower in North Kensington will be dismantled brick by brick. It's nearly 8 years since a fire tore through the building, killing 72 people. Others were injured, hundreds were traumatised. Some local people are relieved the tower with all its memories will come down. Others fear that if the tower comes down, so will that important push for justice. Speaking to people most closely affected has been Anna O'Neill.
We're living in a building site and it's been like this for the last 8 years. People get woken up through drilling, banging every day for the last 7.5 years. It is no way to live, especially in light of seeing our fellow loved ones and neighbours burned to death, yeah? So, as you can see for yourself, it is a nightmare to live around there.
For people living in its shadow like Sammy, Grenfell Tower no longer being there is almost unimaginable, even with all the heartache it has come to symbolise.
The majority of the people that I speak to, I'll say about 90% of people want some sort of infrastructure to stay there for a future reminder to future generations that this never happens again.
He would like the lower levels of the tower to remain as a reminder of what happened here. But today, the Deputy Prime Minister's office confirmed the tower is not safe and has to come down.
We feel that we need more say in what happens because we, as a community, have to live here, not Angela Rayner.
For decades, Grenfell Tower has stood at the heart of this North Kensington community. And for the past 7.5 years, it stood here as a symbol of everything this community has fought for and against. But now we're hearing confirmation at last that it will be deconstructed. The Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government said,
taking the engineering advice into account, the Deputy Prime Minister concluded that it would not be fair to keep some floors of the building that are significant to some families, whilst not being able to do so for others, and knowing that, for some, this would be deeply upsetting. The government is committed to taking the next steps respectfully and carefully. There will be continued support for and engagement with the community throughout the process.
There are many concerned that once the tower goes, the people of Grenfell will be forgotten.
We've come to the point where there's been no charges brought, the inquiry's over, and everyone's just like, well, what really is going on? What is going to happen? We're launched again into another area of what affects us in Grenfell. So now we're expected to deal with the tower coming down.
But for others living here, trying to avoid looking at Grenfell Tower has come at a physical cost.
6 months after the fire, I noticed a hump on my back. And I realised that every time I walked past it or out in the street where I could view it, I was holding my head in this position. So now I've got a little granny's hump or whatever it's called on the back of my neck. And all I see when I see the tower is the night. That's all I can think about. when I see the tower. It has no sentimental value for me. Just pain.
No work to dismantle the tower will start until after the 8th anniversary in June. Anna O'Neill, BBC London.
Well, what's clearly evident after listening to voices from Grenfell is whatever the view on dismantling the tower, the psychological impact is almost tangible. Joining me now is psychologist Dr. Shamenda Talwar, who was there on the night of the fire and has provided support to both residents and firefighters. Very good evening to you. The people of Grenfell were brought together in their grief. It seems like the decision to dismantle the tower has divided them. Is that a surprise?
It's not surprising because people take grief differently. People show their strengths in different ways. Grenfell Tower has been a horrific incident, in modern history, in modern Britain history, and so the whole situation of how people have psychologically, the trauma, the anxiety, the anger that people have gone through, some have become stronger, and some have become uncertain because they don't feel that justice was done. So that's why some people would like to say, yes, okay, it's better to take it away from us, or some people don't want to take away because it's out of sight, out of mind.
But I get the impression that whether the tower is dismantled or not, it's never really going to bring closure for so many people because of the devastating events which led to the fire and the way it's been handled since.
Lessons haven't been learned by the governments because of history, because be it Hillsborough disaster, decades that the Liverpool families have suffered. We don't want the Grenfell Tower survivors and the families and the friends and the community to go through that. Something should have been done, hasn't been done. The communication hasn't been correct from the government of how to deal with the community, bring them together, find a way together, and then put something together, like a memorial park or something. But nothing has been discussed, nothing has been planned.
You're a psychologist, you work very closely with survivors, you work very closely with firefighters as well. For people who saw what happened, either because they were there, they lived there, or people who saw it on TV, who are dealing with the trauma still, and many are, what advice can you give to them?
This is our deep scars. We have never seen such an incident ever in this country. And those sort of incidents, what people have seen and what the community has seen, they don't heal very quickly. And when you have questions that are not answered, time, like I said, they always say time is a healer. Unfortunately, in this situation, time is not a healer, because every time when you're about to step over and get about to sometimes to get a little bit healed, something comes up. And now with Angela Rayner coming and saying, we're going to demolish the building without communicating with the community itself, that's what it says. It makes the scar even deeper, and that's not good at all.
No, it's not good. I know it's a very difficult time for so many people, at least for yourself, who's been there since day one. Dr. Thalwar, many thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, now a moment to take a look at some of the day's other news. Turkish authorities have reopened their investigation into the death of a man from Southend whose body was found at the bottom of a hotel lift shaft. 20-year-old Tyler Kerry was on holiday with his family. He died at trendy Lara Hotel in Kundu near Antalya in November. A judge in Turkey has instructed investigators to look again into Mr. Kerry's death. Network Rail is carrying out a trial at King's Cross Station that will see train information disappear from departure screens 3 minutes before the train leaves. It's aimed at stopping passengers rushing onto platforms. Final call announcements will be made 4 minutes prior to departure. An artwork by Banksy has been removed from the side of a building in Kew Green. The building's owners say they needed to carry out refurbishment work that were essential for the long-term future of the property. Well, they say when the work is completed, they'll explore options for its future display. This next story, I guarantee you'll remember for all the right reasons. It's about a man who had his life saved twice by the same person 10 years apart. The first time a boy stepped forward to donate life-saving bone marrow to the blood cancer patient. The second time, that boy, who is now a man, gave his kidney to the same person. Frankie McCamley met lifesaver Joshua and the man he saved, his father.
Hello. Hi there. How you doing?
It's a good day for David. 3 weeks after his kidney transplant.
How are you feeling? I'm feeling very well, thank you.
They had deteriorated following chemotherapy for a type of blood cancer. In the end, it was his son who donated the kidney.
So my kidney actually wouldn't know whether it was in Josh, my son, or me, because
this is correct concept.
Yeah. Because the immune system is
like I'm taking your own kidney and put it back into you.
Yeah.
This is how your immune system looking at it.
Yeah.
He has the immune system of his son because 10 years ago, Josh also donated bone marrow, which helped treat his father's cancer.
Morning.
Good morning. On the next ward, now aged 23, Joshua is also having his 3-week checkup.
How's the wound? Yeah, it's all right. It's weeping a little bit, but
Any pain from it?
No pain.
To help save his father's life for a second time, Josh cut his travels around the world short and flew back from Australia.
To be given that opportunity, not once, but also twice, to give him a better life and almost save him. I didn't think about what any issue would come to me would be, or kind of the repercussions of what the operation would entail.
If anybody was apprehensive and not wanting their child to go through this again, was me. I didn't want him to go through it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional. But yeah, he came back and yeah, he did it again.
Yeah, it's what you do though, it's what you do. Everyone says this to me all the time, it's not such a big thing, but it's like, it's my dad, he's given me everything I could ask for, why would I not want to do that? And I know some people might not have that sort of relationship or whatever, but all I've wanted to do is give back, and if you can give back in a way like this, wow, why would you not?
Yeah.
The pair are now making a good recovery, planning for their family's future that was uncertain at times.
That's right.
Oh my God, you had me crying. Frankie McCamley, BBC London.
And that story has brought a tear to so many people's eyes who've watched it, and we wish David and Joshua all the very best for the future. There's still to come tonight. It's called the home of time. The Royal Observatory in Greenwich celebrates a big birthday and
Find out why I am one of the only 3 persons in the world allowed to whistle here in this beautiful Burlington arcade.
But first, the FA Cup has a habit of putting big Premier League clubs with much smaller opponents. They make for some of the best moments in football, and the match tomorrow is going to be a cracker because the mighty Manchester City head to Leyton Orient's 9,000-seater stadium in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Chris Slegg will be watching very closely. Let's hear from him now. Chris.
Yeah, Assad, I'm at the Coach and Horses just outside Brisbane Road. They are going to be doing brisk business here tomorrow. A very busy day, a very big day for the fans. I've got a couple of them with me now, Karen and Harvey. Karen, how are the nerves at the moment?
Oh, they're building nicely. It's very much giving Arsenal vibes back in the day, and we took them to a draw, so fingers crossed we can go to extra time and penalties tomorrow.
Yeah, that was back in 2011, a draw with Arsenal. RV, do you think that sort of result is possible? No replay anymore, of course.
It is possible. It's a one-off game. It's in the cup. It's always special, so there's a possibility we can take them all the way. Who knows, we might even sneak a win.
We will see. Look, you're both lifelong fans. We hope you're going to have a brilliant day tomorrow, whatever happens. And we can look back now on the moment that set up this cup tie, and after that also meet one of the heroes of Leyton Orient's cup run.
This to set up a tie with Manchester City. It's Observatory, and it's in!
the penalty with which Zacabero secured Leyton Orient an FA Cup 4th-round tie against Manchester City. It wouldn't have been possible but for the earlier save from goalkeeper Josh Keeley. He's been the hero of Orient's cup run and well knows that O's fans have been counting down the days to the City game ever since.
The play Man City at our place is just, yeah, it's special, especially for the fans that have been supporting Orient the whole life. I think it's just it's a magical time.
The 21-year-old from the Republic of Ireland, who is spending the season on loan from Tottenham, also saved a penalty in the first round.
Great save, Keeley.
And how about this in the second round? With the team trailing to Oldham deep into injury time, he scored the equaliser.
The keeper's equalised! I do not believe it!
Scoring a goal just brings your emotions to a whole new level that, like, I've said to many people, I've never felt in my life, and I think it will probably be the best moment of my life because it was just something, like, as you know, it doesn't happen very often. And I mean, we've gotten so far into the competition now that you realise how much it meant.
It's a moment he'll never forget.
Orient's players are determined they won't be overawed by Pep and the Manchester millionaires. Have you allowed yourself to visualise the possibility of penalties and facing up to the likes of Erling Haaland or Phil Foden or Bernardo Silva?
Yeah, no, I do visualise these things. I think you feel like you kind of have to, because if the moment does step up, then you know you've seen it before and you've kind of dreamt about it. So yeah, I'll always be ready for pens.
I know they are one of the best teams this country's ever seen, but by their own high standards, they're off the pace a bit. Is this a good time to play Manchester City?
Is it the right time? Probably is, yeah, because if we caught them, 2 years ago when they won the treble? Yeah, it would. You could say it'd be a different story, but I mean, we're all going in with the right mindset of we want to win this game, and yeah, now's the time to do it.
You feel it's possible?
Yeah, of course, anything's possible.
If anyone's proven that to be true, it's Josh Keeley in the FA Cup. What a goal that was from Josh Keeley. What a goal that was from Josh Keeley. I'll speak to someone now who's scored a lot of goals for Leyton Orient and was part of the team that drew with Arsenal. Went to a replay. I know there's no replays anymore, Scott McLeish, but is a similar sort of result possible?
I think so. I think the way they're playing, they'll have every confidence that they can pull off an upset.
What do you think it's going to be like for Pep and co when they walk out at Little Brisbane Road? What are they going to make of it?
Well, obviously it'll be a bit different to the Etihad Stadium, but more importantly, I think for them it'll be the size of the changing rooms are going to be a lot different. I'm not sure they'll all get in there.
Is that the sort of thing that unsettles the top players? Did you sense that when you were taking on Arsenal all those years ago?
Yeah, they have a lot of buckets and trunks and all the kit they've got to put in there. And it don't all fit in, and you just see it all down the tunnels, and it just makes it uncomfortable for them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they cope with it. Martin Ling, Director of Football at Leyton Orient. What does this match mean in terms of finance, in terms of profile for the club?
Yeah, I think in terms of finance, it's probably an uplift of about £500,000 for the club. So that's great, especially with a transfer window. So we've been able to spend a little bit of that in the transfer window. And profile, look, we're playing the top team in the country. You know, it's profile for us as a club. Playing Man City home is absolutely brilliant. And I think that we're going to go into it, you know, we're thinking about the profile, but also thinking, can we win the game of football?
And can you?
Yeah, I believe we can. Miracles are there because they've been made, so why not another miracle tomorrow?
Well, we really hope so. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Scott. We're going to have tomorrow live commentary provided by BBC London on the BBC Sport website. The kick-off is at 12:15, very early one. That might unsettle Man City a little bit too. As Martin said, miracles are possible, and we really hope that Leyton Orient can pull off a huge FA Cup shot tomorrow. Asa.
Absolutely, Chris, and you don't have to be into football to really want to know what happens in that match. Many thanks for that. Now, a world champion whistler has been given special permission to whistle where few have been allowed to do it before. He's so pleased with the privilege, of course he's been making the most of it. Lakshmi Gopal went along to listen.
This is Geert Chartreux. He's doing something you and I and nearly everyone else in the world is banned from doing. Whistling in London's Burlington Arcade. Three-time world champion whistler, Geert puts his skill to good use as Cirque du Soleil ringmaster.
I started whistling when I was 4, till in 2003 at a Christmas dinner. My sister-in-law, she was annoyed with me whistling all the time. And she said, and at one point I said, if there was a competition, I would join. And then 3 weeks later, I received a text message, Geert, you're going to America. And I said, what do you mean, I'm going to America? Well, there is a World Championships of Whistling, and I entered you.
So what's the issue with whistling here? In the heart of Piccadilly for over 2 centuries, Burlington Arcade was established as a home of luxury shopping.
You can browse around in elegant arcades like long drawing rooms.
Patrolling the venue are beadles. They predate the Metropolitan Police and enforce strict rules, including no running, no open umbrellas and no whistling.
You're not allowed to whistle in Burlington Arcade because it was used by pickpocketers to signal each other who their next victim would be, and it's banned for the last 207 years, and it's banned to this very day.
So what happens if someone does whistle here?
We make sure, tap them in the shoulder and tell them not allowed to whistle in Burlington Arcade.
Geert is one of only 3 people made exempt from the rule, alongside a young boy and Sir Paul McCartney. In the 80s, the Beatle was asked by a beadle to stop whistling in the arcade, but was allowed to carry on once it was discovered who he was.
In my life now, I will be mentioned in one sentence together with Paul McCartney. How did that happen?
So what are some tips you've got for any would-be whistlers?
Yeah, well, you have to pucker up. So, and then you blow air. That's basically it. You blow air.
You make it sound simple, but not everyone can do what you do.
I know, and it's so hard to explain, but the virtuosity I have, it's coming from here, so.
Of course, we're forbidden from trying out his advice within the building. Time to get him whistling a different tune.
Now, Geert, I have a challenging tune for you to whistle. That is the BBC London theme tune.
Okay.
Laxmi Gopal, BBC London, of course.
Amazing.
That was actually quite good. Now, the Royal Observatory is considered the world over as the home of time and space. Watches and clocks are set from there, and significantly, the observatory is marking its 350th year this year. Our reporter Tim Muffet has been looking around.
It's played a key role in our national story. From the Greenwich time signal, or pips as they're known, first generated here in 1924, to our perception of time itself through Greenwich Mean Time. With its incredible views over London, the Royal Observatory Greenwich is Britain's oldest purpose-built scientific institution. Created on the orders of King Charles II and given a crucial task.
350 years ago, this observatory was established to provide a way to determine how to navigate across the surface of the Earth. Sailors were being lost at sea, shipwrecked, simply because they didn't know where they were in relation to the land around them, which was becoming extremely costly, both in terms of trade and in human lives.
And then there are those 3 words which together have such an impact on our lives.
We all heard of Greenwich Mean Time. What is it?
Back in 1675, we had John Flamsteed, the first Astronomer Royal, and he decided to create a Greenwich Mean Time, GMT as we know it, as a way of smoothing out variations in time. If you measure noon, say from a Monday to a Tuesday, you'll find that it's not exactly 24 hours. It can vary by a few minutes from day to day.
So that noon is basically based on positions of the sun?
Exactly. So Flamsteed created an average or mean time of exactly 24 hours every day, all year round, that's much easier to keep track of with a clock or a watch.
With Greenwich Mean Time established and monitored on 2 specially built clocks, how best to share it with the world? It was time to release the ball.
The time ball was installed in 1833 to provide a visual time signal for Greenwich Mean Time, and it's positioned on our roof so that it's clearly visible down to mariners waiting on their boats down on the River Thames. At 5 to 1, the ball goes halfway up the mast, then at 12:58 it goes to the top, and then at 1 p.m. precisely it drops, and that just means that the mariners waiting on the Thames can check their chronometers, their accurate sea clocks, and see if the clocks are running a bit too fast or a bit too slow.
A very special place, 350 years old. As it was where they started, here's a message to the Royal Observatory Greenwich from the Pips. Tim Muffet, BBC News, Greenwich.
Yeah, and it's a great place to visit as well. And Darren, I was there this morning in Greenwich Park for a walk, and it's surprisingly cold, very cold.
It was really cold because we had that easterly wind blowing as well. I'm sure most people will be hoping for something a bit better for this weekend. There is a crumb of comfort in that it isn't going to feel as cold this weekend. Temperatures are going to be rising a bit from what we've seen today, but there's going to be a lot of cloud around this weekend and still some damp weather too. It's been a bit more than damp today, it has to be said. We've had rain developing over the past few hours. A little bit of sleetiness actually to the north of London, but it's rain that we're going to have really through this evening, quite wet this evening, and overnight still some pockets of rain and drizzle coming along, probably not quite so wet towards the end of the night. Minimum temperatures will be around 1, 2, 3 degrees, but could be a little bit higher than that by the time we get to tomorrow morning. There will be a lot of cloud though tomorrow morning, and still got some dampness in the air, a bit of rain and drizzle, but hopefully in the afternoon some drier air comes our way, breaking up the cloud a bit, brightening the skies, and maybe even bringing a little bit of sunshine, and that will tend to lift the temperatures as well. Tomorrow afternoon we could see temperatures as high as 8 Celsius, so that's quite a bit better than what we had today. Now, generally speaking, we've got high pressure building back towards the UK during the second half of the weekend, but there's still a bit of wet weather just nosing up from the near continent, and we're really more in the firing line for that, if you like. So again, I think on Sunday a lot of cloud. We're going to find some showers coming in as well. The winds will be quite light, I think, on Saturday, but start to pick up a little bit during Sunday. But we're still seeing those temperatures getting up to 8 or 9 degrees. That's as good as it's going to get, though, I think, over the week ahead. If we look at the outlook, we're going to find an easterly wind picking up, and that's going to bring with it some colder air as well. So for the beginning of next week, temperatures are going to be lower, typically about 5 or 6 degrees. There'll be a lot of cloud around, and it will feel colder in that stronger easterly wind. Assad.
Darren, thanks very much. Well, that's it for now. Alison Earle will be here with our late news at 10:30 on BBC One and the iPlayer, of course. I'll be back with our weekend news tomorrow at 5:20. For now, from us all, do have a very good evening. Bye-bye.